Welcome back to Wealth Formula, everybody. This is Buck Joffrey coming to you from Montecito, California, and this is, of course, our Friday show. And, last week I did a little bit of self-help, little Buck the self-help guru talk, and it actually seemed to be very popular from the feedback that you gave me. So I want to go back in that direction again. I mean, it's a nice thing for Fridays, right? Just things to think about. And obviously, as we move through life, we have to constantly be, trying to improve ourselves, trying to think about how to have a good perspective on life. So today, I want to talk to you something that we all encounter. They're problems, right? Problems. Whether that's financial problems, personal problems, whatever, whatnot. You're having a rough time in the market. We've all been there now. You're having marital problems. I have been there and been divorced, all these things, right? We all have these problems, and at times they can feel overwhelming. They can feel like they last forever and that there's no end in sight. But as you know, deep down, here's the truth. Life, in all its complexities, is transient, right? It's fleeting. Just think about all the times you've been at the top of the world or somewhere very dark. It never stays the same. It just doesn't. And when we understand the fleeting nature of our problems, it really helps with gaining a lot of fresh perspective. We realize what seems perhaps monumental right now is going to fade into the background. It may not even be something that you remember even happening 10 years from now. This isn't about dismissing our struggles. We all got them. It's about empowering ourselves to focus on what truly matters, to grow, and ultimately to live with purpose. We got to remember that nothing stays the same forever. Whether that's joy, whether that's pain, victories, setbacks, all temporary. And embracing that fact allows us to approach life's challenges with a sense of peace, right? And knowing that, it's not permanent. In fact, it might actually be a little scary. But you can get some comfort if you think about where you were 10 years ago. I mean, what were the problems that occupied your mind back then? How many of those still matter to you today? If there's people in here that were really making trouble for you, are they even in your life anymore? Most of us would struggle to remember, and that's the point. Most of the things that consume us today won't even cross our minds in a decade, and the realization can free us from the grip of anxiety and stress. Allowing us to focus on the bigger pictures of our lives. It's that whole this too shall pass thing, right? To truly embrace the idea that problems are fleeting, we really got to just shift our perspective. And instead of viewing problems as permanent obstacles, I would challenge you to see them as temporary challenges that we have the power to overcome. And the key lies in how we frame our experiences. So when a problem arises, it's easy to get caught up in the immediate frustration, fear, or anger. But what if instead of reacting emotionally, we can take a step back and ask ourselves, you know what? This is a bad time in my life. What can I learn from this, right? This is a problem. This is something that is going to go away eventually. And what am I going to do? How am I going to use this to grow? And by reframing our problems this way, we're going to ultimately transform them from burdens into potential opportunities for personal development. And if you think that way, actually, it can really open up some doors. I remember years ago, my first job as a sort of a paid-for hand at a cosmetic surgery shop, getting fired because they thought I was going to compete with them. Well, they were only sort of right. But that actually pushed me much quicker into the entrepreneurial sphere. And so it ended up being a very, very positive thing. I kind of think of that as the birth of my entrepreneurial life, right? Anyway, it's the shift in perspective that allows us to focus on solutions rather than problems. And when we understand that our challenges are temporary, we can approach them with a sense of curiosity and openness, and we become more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of navigating life's up and downs. One of the most powerful tools we have in dealing with life's challenges is the ability to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing emotional weight that problems often carry. It's about accepting, well, we cannot change and focus our energy on what we can. Because the problem is when we hold on to our problems, we replay them in our minds, dwell on them. It kind of just like broken record stuff. We get trapped. It's like a cycle of negativity. But when we let go, if we're able to let go, we create space for new possibilities, allow ourselves to move forward and embrace new experiences, and maybe even find some joy in the midst of, the adversity. Believe me, I know it's not easy. I mean, really letting go in those types of situations, it's like an act of courage, But when we stop dwelling on our problems, we open ourselves up to focusing on what truly matters in life. The relationships we nurture, the love we share, the impact we make. These are the things that define our lives, not the problems we face. And so, just for perspective, I think it's really important. And I have this problem too. When things are going bad, when there's challenges and so on and so forth, and bringing it home with you at night. I've got 3 daughters that I spend half my time with, and I really don't like it when I am worried about my problems and not thinking about being with them, because even that time that I have with them is transient. They're growing up so quickly. I have a daughter who is going into 10th grade now, and it's like literally yesterday when she was born, and that is happening so quickly. And to be consumed with problems and not focused on what's important and the big picture is a real mistake. So take a moment to think about what's important to you, and whether that trivial inconveniences that are coming up right now, they may seem big, but in the grand scheme, they're probably pretty insignificant, right? What are they doing to the attention that you should have on the things that matter? If you can keep that big focus, right, on what truly matters, you're going to be much less likely to be overwhelmed. Just let nature take its course. Transient challenges will ultimately go away. Life's just way too short to be consumed by worry and stress. Right. And I say that, and I'm not a master of being that way. I'm just speaking out loud, and it's almost coaching myself. When we focus on what truly matters, we live more fully, more authentically, and with a greater sense of purpose. Try to immerse yourself in the present moment. The past is behind us, the future is yet to come, and the only thing you have right now is now. If you live in the moment, you can free yourself from the burden of regrets of the past and future anxieties, most of which you can't really even control. So, there's lots of different ideas and things that people can do to try to, kind of deal with these problems of being able to, not focus on the present and not understanding that, the problems that we have are transient. So here's a few suggestions that work for a lot of people. One is the practice of daily gratitude. Start each day by, acknowledging 3 things you're grateful for. Like, this is probably the best time to do that is when you first open your eyes in the morning in bed and you're not, rolling over and looking at your phone like I do sometimes, which is really not a good way to start your morning. But before you even, acknowledge to everyone else that you're awake, lie there, just, what are 3 things that are really great about your life? And they don't have to be anything spectacular. I mean, they can just be the fact that you are healthy, the fact that, you are, that there's sunshine outside, and that, your kids, you can hear your kids in the background. This practice of daily gratitude, I mean, it sounds like a simple thing, makes a huge difference. And then the other thing that I think is really useful during that period of time is to visualize the way you want your day to go in a positive way, and just try to get in a positive sort of, headspace. The other thing to do, as I mentioned before a little bit, is to reframe challenges as opportunities. Like when you have a big problem that you foresee, whether or not it's transient, I mean, it is transient, but you got to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? And then, focus on what you can control, right? And that's a big problem, is that a lot of problems that we have, a lot of the things that sort of consume our minds, the reason they do is we go in this circular pattern in our minds trying to solve this problem when in reality, it's out of our hands, right? So focus on what you can control. Embrace mindfulness. This mindfulness is sort of this term that everybody talks about now, and usually referring to meditation, right? Or that just basically just kind of being grounded in the moment. But I think you can also get that just by like playing with your kids, right? I play Foursquare sometimes with my daughters when my back isn't all jacked up. And for me, that is a very mindful thing to do, just kind of going out there with the girls. It just will bring you back to the moment, right? Especially when you're playing Foursquare with three scrappy little girls. Finally, I would just say this. Surround yourself with positive influences. Okay, this is a big one. You got to engage with people, activities, and content that's going to uplift you and inspire you to grow, right? You got to be around positive people because at the end of the day, you're an average of all of the people that you're hanging out with. So don't let them bring you down. With that, I hope you focus on having a very positive weekend. This is Buck Joffrey with Wealth Formula Podcast signing off.